Hello everyone, this is Yusuf Burton from YKB Analytics. So in this video, I'm going to be showing an overview of using Tableau. In this example, we're going to be connecting to multiple spreadsheets to get some HR data and make an interactive dashboard. If you want to follow along, you can go to the public.tableau.com website to download the application. And I'll also in the link provide the same link as well as the link to download the data as well. So from there, let's begin. So the first thing I'm going to do while I have my Tableau Tableau public open, I'm going to go to text file to file to open. You can also use the file as well, and we're going to be working with CSV files. So with this HR data, we have employees, salaries, and department. Let's start with the employees data. All right, so it loads it in. We have a couple of different columns here. So we have the employees number, which is the unique number for each employee, their birth date, first and last name, gender, and hire date. This is the data source pane, which shows you an overview of the data that's coming in. And here is the employees.csv file. We're going to go into sheet one, where we're going to start going through the data itself. So the first thing that I actually want to do, we're gonna actually do some of the visualizations once we do the joins in a second, but I want you to see the amount of records that we have. So I'm going to do the number of records, bring it to the text. We see that we have 300,000 employees. That's the same amount of employees if I was to open up the CSV file from 101 all the way to the last one. There's the 300,024 employees there. So here we actually want to bring in some more of the columns from the other sheets as well. I just wanted to give you an overview and just to keep mind of that number. And one quick thing that I'm going to do is that the employee number, I actually want this to be treated as a qualitative data point. Right now, when it's under measures, it's treated as if it's quantitative data, but we're not going to do any aggregations here. So we're going to actually move this up into dimensions and convert it from a whole number into a string. So when I go back into the data source, you'll see that the commas are no longer there and it's treated as a string. So from here, I'm actually going to do a join. So I'm going to bring in the departments.csv file and put it right into this pane. And what a join does is, which is pretty similar to, let's say, a VLOOKUP or how joins work in a SQL file, it looks for a unique number, which in this case, if we click this double circle icon, it's showing you how it's linking both sets of data together, which in this case, there's an employee's number in the department's CSV file as well as the employee's CSV file. Now, the type of join that I want is actually a left join because I want to make sure that even if an employee doesn't belong in a department, that it shows all the employees in the CSV file, and that's important. So I'm going to X out of here, and then you'll see that the data has been joined in. Some of the department CSV files you'll see here, as well as when I go back into the sheet one, you'll see that a new section here appears, which is department. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of cleanup here. So there's this employee number that's coming off of the CSV file, the department CSV file. We no longer need this, so I'm actually going to hide that. And you can hide this for any cells or any columns that you don't need. Now, one thing that I want to point out is that it went from the 300,000 employees to 331,000 employees. And that's actually because of the departments itself. So when I look at the department CSV file, you'll see that there's 331 employees here, but they're not individual employees. It's actually, and if I go to employee number 10070, you would see that this individual employee originally started in the development department. And if you want, you'll see that that's the from date and to date at the top. So you see that the individual originally started in 1985, 10 years they was in that department, and then they went into the research department. And that's actually happening throughout this whole file. We'll work with that in a second, but I just wanted to point that out because what I want to show you is the breakdown of the departments. If we was to break it down in the column section here, it shows you all the departments. And just so we can get a graph going, let's look at tree maps. You can experiment on your own, see which maps you want to look at or which charts you want to look at. I just like this one because it's pretty easy to determine what the relationship is and it gives you the color as well. And just so we can also see the count, so in this case development, we see that there is 85,000 there. I want to move this number of records back into the label so we can see the numbers here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have 331,000 employees, quote unquote, that's shown here, but we know that it's actually supposed to be $300,000, and that's because it's doing the count off of the the department CSV file. So to force it to actually look at the employees.csv file, we actually need to create a function which is called a calc field. So calc fields in Tableau is a formula that you would put in that would aggregate the data for you. So we're making our own individual column that we want to act as the count. So first we're going to do the create filter. And what we're going to do here is, because if I open up the departments for the same employee here, we actually want to get the most recent department that they're in. So the field that I actually want to work with is the to date field here. So in the calculation, I'm going to type in to date, and this is going to equal to us fixing it. So I'm going to type in fixed to the actual employee number. Now this employee number is actually referencing the employee number here in the employees.csv file. So we're going to select that, and then we want to only count it or count the ones that have the max date, the max to date. And then let me close that. And then let me put the closing bracket there. So it seems like I have a little error here. So let me see what I did. All right. So sometimes I get this off. So if I were to, I have a bracket there that I don't need. So sometimes I don't get this immediately. It's okay. And then we should be good. Right, and then you know that the calculation is going to work out if you have that it's valid. So I'm going to push OK. So now, and let me actually name it. So I can go back into edit and let's name this recent department. All right, so now we're going to move this into our filters area, and we're only going to look for the cases that it's true. So now we see that our records go back to 300,000. So this is a good chart for us to use. So let's rename this. Let's say employee count by chart. And the reason why I'm making individual sheets, so really all the dashboard is a collection of sheets. And then from there, they would share the same filters. So with this one, I'm going to do a bar chart based off of the salaries. So I'm going to go back into the data source, and then I'm actually going to bring in salaries. Same thing, I'm going to do a left join here, and we're going to go back into sheet 2. All right, great. So now we have the salaries information here. Same thing, we see that there's some fields that are repeating here, so we're going to hide those. We want it to really base off of the employees.csv file. So I'm going to hide those. And now the only data that we actually want is the actual salaries information, which if I bring that in into the text field, or in this case, let's bring it in here. So we have a bar chart, $17 million. And just to make sure that there's no duplication like how it was with the departments, we can actually use this filter on multiple worksheets. And the way you do it here is you right click it, then go to apply to worksheets, and then apply to all user related data sources. So what happens here when I come back into sheet 2, because it's using the same data source here, which was the employees connected to the other two CSV files, the filter will be applied. All right, great. So now we want the breakdown by department as well. So I'm going to put this into the columns. We saw that a bar chart was already created, and we now have it broken down as a bar chart. And let's just show it descending. And this is good. It gets you the information you need. But now let's put in some filters here that will allow a user to create their own report. And let's do it by the hiring date. So we're going to do it by month by the hiring date. So now we're going to bring in the hiring date, move it right into the filters. And let's actually do month by year. And now we're presented with the ascending months throughout the years. Now, what we can do here is, let's say if we are continuously getting new information, and every time you open up this workbook, let's have it filter to the latest date, which in this case, for the data that we have, is January 2000. All right, so now this is January's data, but let's also allow it to show on the filter here. So this way, someone could be able to select the month right here. And let's just, so we can have some real estate here. Instead of showing it all, let's make it a single value drop down. So this way, only one value can be selected. All right, so let's bring that back into January. And let's also put in another filter as well. So let's put in the work status. So if we look back at the department, we could see here that we have some January 1, 99.99. Let's assume that these are the active employees. Whereas if there's an actual date here, that means that the employee is no longer with the company. So let's label those as retired. When we do that, we're gonna create another calc field, and let's call this work status. And we're gonna use an if statement here. So this is just testing for a condition. So we're gonna look at that to date again. And because we are not in the future yet, let's just say that if the to date is greater than today, not to date, which is today's date, then we will return the label of active. Else, which is stating that if the employee to date is today's date or less, we're going to say that they are retired. And then we're going to end it. I'm going to push OK. Move the work status into here. And let's actually have both. So we're going to select all. And again, move it, show it. So the user can be able to make the decision on what data they want to see. All right, so this is a good chart too. So we're going to name this salary by department. Now actually name that too, a department. And now let's just have a text box here that will act as detailed employee detail. And let's actually get a couple of these fields from the different spreadsheets. So first and foremost, we should bring in the employee's number. And this will pop up if you have more than 1,000 in any given row. Well, any unique number in any given row. This is okay. You can see that Tableau can be able to handle that without any issues. Give you a little bit of time, but it should be done in a few seconds. All right, let's also bring in department. Let's see what else. Let's bring in birth date. Well, I'm waiting for that to load. and it takes some time. And then let's actually get the full birth date, so month, day, year. All right. I'll bring in the to date as well, just to show you that all the fields that we can bring in. And this way, it gives us a lot of information when we're on the dashboard. All right, and the reason why we're seeing this ABC is because we don't have any text here. Now you can just simply hide it, or you can just put some actual data there. So in this case, I'll put the salaries data. Taking a little bit of time to process, but should be done soon. All right, good. So now we have all the information that we need. So let's call this the employee detail. And now with these three sheets, we can now create our dashboard. So let's go into our dashboard. I'm just going to do some initial setup. So just so we have some space here, let's select, instead of range, we're going to do a fixed size. And let's just do a regular desktop. Now you also have the option of having it resized based off of the viewpoint that the individual is looking at. But sometimes I find that when you explicitly state the size, it won't affect how the overall performance will the dashboard will have. All right, so now let's bring in some of the sheets. So I'm gonna bring this in here, and then right below it, let's have the salaries. And then let's have the employees detail all the way to the right. Just waiting for it to load up. And then let's just bring the legend to the right as well, to the right of this. All right, good. And so now I'm just going to resize some stuff a little bit. So I think the legend has to be that big. And let's just make sure that all the data will show correctly for the employees detail. So I click here, fix width, and it'll set everything that it'll all fit within the given space. All right, so this is looking pretty good. I'm just gonna move that up a little bit. And we could do the same thing here as well. All right, so now we're starting to have a full dashboard. Now, just so we see that these three data points are actually acting on their own with their own filters. So what we can do here is we can apply the filters here to all three of these sheets. So first things first, I want to take this out. I don't think I need that anymore. And I actually want to bring another filter in. So the way that you can apply a specific grass filter is by clicking this drop down, going to filters, and let's actually bring departments in too. Now to actually apply it to all three sheets, let's select the drop down, and then we're going to go to apply to worksheets, and we're actually going to apply it to all related worksheets. So you won't really see a difference here since nothing was selected, and it's loading up too. But if I was to select this and do the same thing, because it's filtered for just 1 month, you instantly see that the detail changes because now it's only looking at 1 month's worth of data. And lastly, we're going to do it here too. So now, and just as an added measure, so we have it that if you was to click here, we also want that to apply to each sheet as well. So you can also use the charts as filters too by clicking this little icon here, this little funnel icon. So now everything is all connected. So if I click here, the employee's details changes, the salaries, the information changes. Same thing with the salary. And if you click out, it will unapply, or if you push escape, it'll unapply. So if I click development, we now see the three developers, the three individuals in development. Let's say we see that we have this one person here and we just want to see the active people. You can click there, and now we only see the active people. So now we have a completely interactive dashboard, and it's up to you how you want to customize it. So everything's good to go here. Just gonna select that to all, and you're pretty much set. So thank you for joining me. If you have any comments, definitely let me know. Give me a like if you enjoyed the content, and you can reach out to me through YKB Analytics if you have any questions.